Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to use the digital template for creating an exhibit for History Fair. So as you may recall, the traditional History Fair format is to have kind of this three-sided, three-paneled presentation board, which you can still do. If you want to go and find one of those boards on your own, if you have a printer at home, some art supplies, you can still cut and paste and put everything together on the board. But if you, like me, do not have a printer, but you still kind of have this vision in your head of a three-dimensional display, you can still do it using this online tool. So this template is linked in Schoology. You'll find a link to it even on the page with this video on it. And I just want to briefly show you kind of how this works. So once you open the link, you'll see kind of a black background here and it says use template. You click that and it'll create a Google Doc for you. This is a Google Draw file, which is not a corner of the Googleverse that I'm particularly familiar with, but it's kind of like a very, very simple Adobe Illustrator type of format, right? It's a web editing, not web editing, it's like a graphic design editing type of format. And when it opens up, you'll see the same thing that you saw kind of a moment ago, where you have these three blank panels separated by these black lines. So if you think about this kind of in three-dimensional space, right? If this were sitting on a table, this would be the middle, this is the left panel, this is the right panel. And the way that you add information to this is really pretty simple. You just come over here to click like text box, and then you draw on here like where you want your text box. And then you type. And so let's say I want to do my project on Malvina Hoffman, sculptor of race. Now, can you read that? It's incredibly tiny, right? Because the scale of this file is really big. So if you notice up here, this is only at 14 point font. So I'm just going to highlight what I have in here and move this up to like 100. And then you can kind of barely read it, right? So one of the things I think that's important to realize when you're working in this format is that it's scaled for like a really, really large, they're giving you a lot of room to fit information on here. But all you have to do to make it larger, like if you're like, I don't need something that's going to be printed out at 14 point font, you can make this pretty big. So let's say I maybe even want it to be like 200 font, something like that. Okay. And then you have all the other tools that you would normally have available to you. So you can pick a font that you like, you can center it, right? Change the alignment, do all those other things. The other thing that you can do that's pretty easy in this format is if you find an image that you like I found this image of this person. So I'm gonna copy the image. I think it's gonna show up really, really tiny, but that's okay. Come in here and paste it. It's so tiny, right? Because the scale of this is quite large, but I can make it bigger. And then let's say I want to have this on my first panel, right? So then people have a picture of her. I'm going to add another text box underneath it right here. And I'm even, just before I even do anything, I'm going to bump this up to 100 and say this is photo from Library of Congress. Make sure that my text box is small enough, right, that it doesn't overlap onto another panel. And then the nice thing about this is that you can just kind of easily move things around by highlighting on a box and then dragging it so that you get it to be where you want it. This makes it really easy to put in headings and text boxes and images. If you wanted to do something like change the background of one of these panels, you could come in here and make there's a shape that fills the whole thing. Maybe you have an image that you want to be the background, and then change, the color. Let's say I want my background to be kind of this color, and I want to move everything over here so that it's this kind of beautiful burgundy color. You'll notice that it layers the objects kind of in the order that you put them on there. But if you want to send this guy to the back, I'm just going to control click. And then I have the option here to order, send to back, and then boom, it's going to pop up like that. Similarly, this is a transparent thing, but let's say I want to fill it with white so that it pops. Pull it over here, and it will, and I'm just going to adjust my box so that everything is kind of captured there. So, and then you can just continue to add details to this as you go. I hope that's enough information to kind of get you started thinking about what your history fair exhibit might look like based on this digital template. You can be kind of as simple or as creative as you want to be, and really think about this in the same way that you would if it were a physical three-dimensional board in front of you. How can you use color? How can you use images? How can you use quotes from primary sources to support the text that you're going to add? And then when you do want to add text, so I'm going to move my little, this is bugging me. So I'm going to move my photo credit over here so it's underneath the picture where it's supposed to be, right? I'm going to make this have a white background as well. And then the thing that I really need in my project is I have to add some analysis here. So I'm going to add another text box. I'm going to change it to 150 point, give it a white background so I can see what I'm typing. And by the way, there's no reason why you couldn't have all this information in a Google Doc and then copy it from the Google Doc and paste it in. You have a number of Google Docs at this point already from all the assignments that you've done so far for History Fair. So if you have this information elsewhere, you don't have to retype it, word by word, unless you want to. It's very easy to copy and paste in here. So let's say, I'm just trying to find where I might have some other information here about her. Let's say I don't know, like this is information I wanted to add. So I'm just, gonna copy this just to illustrate here how this could look. And then paste it right in here. Paste. It comes up super tiny, right? Because it's really small on the other website, but if I bump it up to 150, then you can see the same text, right? The other kind of trick here is that if I want to paste it, you'll notice when I go in here, I can choose paste without formatting or paste with formatting. Once I paste it, it's going to preserve the formatting that it comes from. So I wonder if I do paste without formatting. No, it's the same way. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just going to make that 150. But that's not really what I want to say. What I actually want to show you here is kind of how you could add your own text. So eventually in here, you're going to have something that says, what you want to say about your topic. So the races of mankind today would seem like an awkward or offensive gallery exhibit, but in 1933 it was the highlight of the Field Museum's World's Fair offering. Whatever it is that I want to say about my topic there. Yep, I'm just going to make sure that my text box kind of looks nice and that it's legible. And then I don't have to put any citations in here because this is just something that I'm saying. This is sort of my introductory paragraph based on the research that I've done. And if I find that this, I'm kind of running out of room here. I don't have a lot of other room that I can add in here for this project. I can make this a lot smaller. I have a lot of text that I need to add to my project, right? So if I want to make this more like 75-point font, then I have a lot more room where I can add information to the board. And so then what I would do as your grader when I come in here to grade this when it's finalized, you would click share, you would share it with me, and then I would just probably come in and make this, whoops, 200% is going to be way too big. But let's say I want to make it 100%. Ooh, it's even still really big. This is why you have to make the text so large, right? So photo from the Library of Congress. Maybe I even just want to make this, I wonder if I can do zoom in between. I can just do zoom in, that's fine. So I will still be able to read what's here pretty easily. You can make things as small as you want them to be in order to fit all the information on here. So even though this looks really tiny, I just want you to realize that you have a lot of space that you can actually fill. This is, remember, this bit of text here is 200-point font, right? That's enormous. Those letters are like this big. If you have any questions about how to use this template, and obviously, here's the last thing I would definitely say is when you open it as a template, it's going to have this title on here, right? Blank exhibit template, Google Draw 2021. Definitely change that to like your name, your project title, and then maybe like even put History Fair period 2, so that I know exactly what it is that I'm looking at. If you have multiple people in your group, you might want to put those people's names on here so that I know all the people who contributed to this. And if you are working in a group, the other really helpful thing about this is that you can share this, right? If you just click the share button, it's like sharing any other document in Google. You just put your group members' email addresses in here and give them sharing permissions, and then they can add to this as well. All right, I hope that was helpful. And let me know if you have any questions or if I can give you any other information about using this particular resource for creating your History Fair project. Good luck.